Don't ever let men stay with you, even male friends, and don't stay with them. They're gonna try to fork you. I swear to God. Okay, so the last video is about why you should not let them stay with you, because most of them are parasites, hobosexuals, and will like never leave, or they just take up all the oxygen in the room and treat you like you're their mom or something. But I totally forgot this article. I literally wrote about this for the Huffington Post several years ago about all the things that happened to me when I stayed with men. So this is like a whole range of bad experiences. And if anybody who knows my content, I literally lived in my truck for many years as a whitewater raft guide, climbing person, whatever. It was like a nomadic lifestyle where I followed the work. So I was used to like not comfortable situations. I'm used to sleeping outside on the ground or in a truck. Okay. So couch surfing, there was this, for those who don't know, there's a website called couchsurfing.com before they became corporate. It was literally just like cool people trying to travel and meet each other and like sleep on each other's couches. But you know who ruined that? I'll give you one guess. Of course, men. I met so many men trying to find wives through couch surfing. One guy I stayed with in Mendoza, I think, he literally was convinced he would meet his wife on couch surfing. And then instead of having to go out and like, you know, court a woman, buy her drinks, meet her, take her on dates, and do all that stuff, he literally just have them come and stay at his house. And then she's in her like nightgown with her toothbrush in a very vulnerable situation in a new town where she doesn't know anybody. And it's just a perfect storm for men to try to exploit you, hook up with you, grape you, whatever. So I have to take a whole video to explain me living with clowns, literally like a clown house. There's a clown university in Valparaiso, and it was bonkers. I ended up hooking up with one of the clowns. Didn't want to, but I was kind of set up, you know, because I was like sick and blah, whatever. That's another story. I'll get like, remind me to tell you all that story of forking a clown, literal clown. But in addition to that, I stayed with this old man in Barcelona who was a friend of my friend, who didn't tell me he didn't have a separate room for me and literally stared at me as I slept all night. And he did something on his computer, now I know what it probably was, and drank all night and smoked inside with no windows open. I've told that story before. It's actually really traumatizing. If one person says, why did you do that, you dummy? I'm blocking you because there's a lot of context there. Anyway, another guy, I was supposed to stay with him. And because I wasn't interested in hooking up with him, he ditched me at the bar to go hook up with this blonde chick from Texas. And I ended up at this man's grandparents' house. Remind me to tell you that story. Another guy, I was staying with a friend of mine. I trusted him, but his friend came over, got really drunk, took pictures of me while I was sleeping with my camera. With my camera. The next day I was like, oh my God. Anyway. And then there was other stories I mentioned in that article about one of my best friends, my best climbing buddies. Him and I had been platonic friends for so long, like at least 10 years. There was never any schmegsual tension or energy between us, never. And when I went back to Taos to visit all my friends, I just assumed I'd camp out or sleep in my car or whatever, because again, that's just like what I'm used to. And he was like, why don't you stay at my place? You can sleep outside there. You can camp out there. I literally had no reason to not trust this. And then somehow, and I don't drink, y'all, so it's not like I was like, oh, I literally was just sitting there talking to him inside his trailer, and then he just starts rubbing my feet, and I'm like, well, that's new, you know? And the next thing I know, I'm forking my friend. And the next day, he told me, I actually have a girlfriend and I have a date today. I hope it's not weird. Are you okay with that? And I'm like, I guess. I ended up really falling for my friend. And then also feeling bad that he cheated on his girlfriend with me. And then also, and it ruined our friendship. We have not been friends since. 10 years friendship, gone. Because one night, he just decided he wanted to try to hook up with me, and it worked. And that's probably the only time I had hooked up with a man I actually cared about in my whole life, because all I had was like one night stands and hate forks and whatever you want to call it at that point. And so it really messed with me because I trusted this man and I knew this man and I cared about this man. And one night, all of that undone. And then another friend, I went out to LA. I talk about that in that article too. I thought we were just buddies. There was no, look, just for context, I was a whitewater raft guide and backpacking guide, like all the jobs I've ever worked, film industry, comedy, has been mostly men. And so a lot of my friends were men, and those were platonic friendship, because in that world I realized that like I knew how to like give off like sister energy instead of like little, you know, schmeck kitty cat energy. And so none of these guys ever usually tried to do anything with me. I was like one of the boys. I was the cool girl. You know, I made myself, you know, I like stood like this instead of like this. Like I knew how to be around men and make them not think I'm schmegly appealing. But I have since learned it doesn't matter. You can do all that all you want, and there's always at least one that's like, I don't care. I'm gonna destroy this friendship. So I went out to LA, stayed with this guy. There was no flirting, nothing. And then I was staying in his trailer. He lived in a trailer in LA. Anyway, he gave me the bed. He slept on the couch. And then like 10 minutes after the lights go out of nowhere, he comes up behind me and lays in the bed beside me and spoons me. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he was just like, oh, I'm just laying here. And I went in, because I'm, you know, survivor of childhood SA. I went into freeze mode. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I couldn't move. I was so angry, but I was paralyzed. I just didn't know what to do. And then the next day I went and had lunch with him and hung out with him, because I also take care of the egos of men who abuse women. And when I finally tried to call him on it, being like, that was kind of weird what you did last night. Like, why did you jump in bed with me? He was like, what? So I don't let men stay with me unless they're with their wife, who I'm very good friends with, and I'm friends with them, and there's no chance that I don't let them in my house. Oh my God, can you hear my dog snoring? It's a really sad reality. Actually, there's another guy friend of mine, no chemistry, whatever, but because when you travel, a lot of these guys, if you were friends with them, they're like, well, she doesn't live here. I don't have to pay the consequence of ruining this friendship. You know, why not hook up? It's not like I have to date her. So they will literally just think of you as a hookup when you pass through town. So 2 of my guy friends have done that to me. 2 ruined like years of friendship gone because I dared to ask if I could sleep on their couch. I'm not saying that you can't be friends with men. Like I said in the last video, I have some male friends. That is only because time and consistency and me learning red flags and hard lessons from all these other men, and also never putting myself in a situation where they would ever have an opportunity to do anything. In general, just not having male friends. I miss that. Because when I had a lot of guy friends, they're really important to me. I'm a tomboy. I connect with men a lot. I mean, it was actually harder for me to connect with women for a long time because I hated talking about my feelings and all this crap. And now, you know, I've softened up. But I was, you know, a dude. I did what a lot of dudes did. I lived like dudes did. I related to dudes. And yet they exploited me at every turn. So it's a shame. And any woman who has been in the climbing world, an outdoor adventure, I don't know, any of these worlds where you end up, or traveled solo a lot, any of these worlds where you end up in weird situations of sleeping around men, and there's just different rules for that than like normal society. Even in those, one of them, at least one of them, if not several, has done something to traumatize women. Oh, and I also forget, one of my coworkers knocked off right next to me, in a room full of people, right next to me while we were asleep. So don't trust any of them, y'all. Yeah, you may miss out on some friendship, but honestly, at this point, women have so much trauma from men. This trauma impacts us for years, if not the rest of our lives. I'm not taking any chances anymore. I don't care. Let them die alone with no friends or their other male friends who suck and don't show up for them, but I'm not doing it anymore.